keeping it just a quaint place for people to live and grow and raise their children. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I'm passionate about it. I really want to see this place grow.
Welcome to episode 71 of the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimmon. Before we get started, I want to add a quick thank you to our champion sponsors, WOBL Radio, Community Foundation of Lorain County Commissioners, Lorain County Community College, Lorain County JVS, and Emerge Inc. Today, we're talking with Scott Jones, Mayor of the Village of South Amherst. Join us as Scott talks about the importance of transparency, major infrastructure improvements, and the use of technology like online water billing and AI integration to improve services. He also shares his approach to community partnerships, his leadership philosophy, and his commitment to enhancing the quality of life for South Amherst residents. Here is my conversation with Mayor Scott Jones.
My name is Scott Jones. I'm the mayor of the Village of South Amherst.
Welcome, Mayor Jones. Thanks for joining us and sharing your insights.
I appreciate it.
To begin with, how would you describe the character of Village of South Amherst, and what do you think makes it unique?
People always say it's like Mayberry. If you've ever watched the Andy Griffith Show, obviously, I'm a big fan, but I would say it's very small, quaint, prideful on tradition. You see the American flags out here, and people really take pride, obviously, in the country, and they're very patriotic, very close-knit. When I first moved here, and it's actually in the paper, I called this place Canada. And the reason I say that is because I don't know if you've ever been, but to Canada, a lot of those people are very nice. I've never really met a mean Canadian. So when I moved here, I was like, man, this is amazing. I have neighbors that are like, hey, saw a car come in the other day and just want to let you know, and I'm like, wow, I really appreciate that. Coming from South Lorain, it's a little different. And I'm not speaking ill will of Lorain because that's home, but it's a different demographic out here.
What are some of the key priorities and initiatives of your administration?
My biggest thing was transparency. I was coming in as a councilman with a ton of horror stories of people saying stuff along the lines of there's a big theft issue. I believe it was back in the early 2000s, about $500,000 went missing from the treasurer. And that was the ongoing story. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to get that money back? And honestly, I don't look backwards, I look forwards. My favorite movie is Back to the Future, and I love looking in the future. I love change. I love trying to make a difference and change. So right now, our main focus is transparency. Infrastructure has been failing for a long time, and that's not anybody's problem, but the past administration that either had their hands tied or maybe it just wasn't a main focus. But again, with me, I want to see what I can do to make a difference. So I would say infrastructure is a big thing that we're doing. We actually have projects going out as we speak that haven't really been touched in over 20 years. So I'm excited about those projects.
Speaking of infrastructure, South Amherst operates its own water system. Recently, the village rolled out online billing and new rates that include dedicated improvement fee. How are these changes improving service reliability and planning for future infrastructure needs?
So I'm a big tech guy. I love technology. I love making things more simple on the residents. So we did roll out a new software. We were at a postcard, mailer for the longest time, and I'm not knocking the postcards, but with this new software, it's really nice because the residents can actually go online, see what their water usage is, see when they flush the toilets, see when they went to the bathroom or whatever have you. If there's a leak, they can spot it really well. And we do a really good job here. And again, I can't take any credit for any of this stuff. This is all the people we put in place. We let them go. We give them the leniency to say, listen, this is your baby, take advantage of it and go. And they have, and they've turned this water operating system into something of just excellence, I guess I could say. Almost had a loss of words, but honestly, if it wasn't for them, we would not be in the position we are today. And we're just getting started.
In addition to water service, what other key services does South Amherst provide for residents?
We do offer, obviously, cemetery. That's Evergreen Cemetery, but it's a problem within its own. Every cemetery is not a dry one, I could say. To your question about infrastructure as well, we do have a project that we are going to be starting out here soon with diggers. It's going to be nice enough to go out there and lay out new piping to where there'll be less standing water in our graves. It's a good thing for all the people that visit.
What's your approach to partnerships? Can you talk a little bit about partnerships with other townships, mayors, county commissioners, community leaders?
Absolutely. So I feel like you could say that you went to a meeting, but what do you get out of that meeting? So that's the biggest thing. What's the takeaways? As soon as I got into office, I was like, I'm not afraid of no. So I think that's a really good thing. So I was always asking questions. First thing I went to was IRG, and I said, hey, the company over here that bought the schools and the quarries, they have this big project. I said, I saw your map. I saw everything you guys plan on doing. I just want to know if there's anything you could do for goodwill to put back into the village, seeing that you have bought this and you plan on doing stuff, but right now it's just sitting there. So what can you do for us? And they said, give us a list of things, and we're not opposed to taking them to the board, making that connection with local big businesses, obviously. Also, just reaching out to anybody that could help us. I just got off the phone with Patty Brubaker out at New Russia Township, and she had mentioned something about a joint economic development district. And we're thinking about getting a seat at the table with that to see if there's anything that could bring more either money this way or just anything that can help the residents out.
When you talk with residents, what are some of their common concerns and what positive feedback and ideas do they share?
Their biggest takeaway is the failed infrastructure. There's water main breaks, I would say, every year, unfortunately. Knock on wood, we're not having any right now. But I would say the failed infrastructure, their water bills continuously grow. And the reason that they're growing is because there's loans that are out. And that's full transparency. There's a lot of things that happened before my time here. But I'm not saying that it's not my problem. It is my problem. And I'm willing to take it on. But the residents do need to understand that there are loans, there are things that are out of our control that we have to maintain and take care of. So they want to see a nicer payment, or they want to see a nicer invoice come their way when it comes to the water bill. And we're trying to make that happen, and we're doing everything we can to make that happen. But I would say their biggest takeaways is they want to see new roads. They want to see new infrastructure. They're tired of hearing the same old of, we're trying. But the proof is in the pudding. So I'm really trying to get that pudding out there. We do have a Halloween fest. We don't have it on Halloween just because we did a little poll. We asked the residents what they would like to see as far as things done in the village. They said Halloween is a bummer because when it's on Thursday, we wake the kids up on Friday to go to school with a sugar buzz, and it's not nice. So as a parent, I can relate. So we moved it to a Saturday. And like I said, last year, we had over 250 people show up after our parade that we have every year that's put on by our Firemen's Association that give out cider and donuts. And then we enhanced it by doing something behind the school where we had vendors, we had costume contests, music, food trucks, games, you name it. So right now we're calling on all the people of the village, not only the village, but surrounding areas, that if you have a business, you have any way you want to just promote your business, all we're asking is to get in contact with us. SAComdevelopment@southamherst.org. That's the Community Economic Development email. You could also find it on villagesouthamherst.com for context. But we're really pushing the events here in South Amherst. We're also trying to enhance the park, and we're doing projects up at the park. We're reaching out to, like I said, business owners to see if they're interested in donating, because we're not swimming in the money here. So if there's anything we can do to give back to the residents by not making them pay, I'm all for it. So that is the plan.
So social media can help keep residents informed about the village, but it can also spread incomplete and inaccurate information. How can you handle both sides of this?
Oh, I know that all too well. So not only being a social media marketing expert and then also having a business, I see the even flows, as you say, like the problems that could occur and obviously the misinformation. My biggest thing are statements, getting statements out there with no commenting, because once you get that commenting going, that's where the misinformation starts. We do have a public forum that is not any way affiliated with the village, but is a good way to see what is happening in the village. For instance, there was a hybrid wolf dogs that were happening this past month, I would say. And we didn't know where they were coming from. They were killing off chickens and horrible things, and we had to find out what was going on. We did a lot of digging. Council picked up the ball and ran with it, and they found out, and we had a solution. We got it solved. So that's something that we actually had to, no pun intended, but sink our teeth into and actually accomplish, because that's what the residents were asking for. I don't like to chase problems. I like to try to plan. I'm a big planning guy, putting together SOPs and obviously just things of that nature to where we can prevent these things from happening in the future, and also having a track record to say, this worked. Let's continue to do this. If it didn't work, let's not do it.
What are the biggest challenges facing South Amherst right now, and how are you and your team working on them?
We know that Lorain County is booming. We know that there's a lot of business coming this way. Because of our failed infrastructure, there have been talks in the past, and unbeknownst to me, just finding this out, that some townships were willing to absorb South Amherst at one point in time in the past. That's not the same case today. They actually don't want anything to do with us, to my knowledge, but that's okay, because we want to, pull our britches up and do it ourselves anyway. So what we can do is put our best foot forward to try to plan for those things. So what we did before my administration, I will actually give the kudos to Dave Lashinsky. He put into place for a planning commission, and he brought in a third party, Rita McMahon, from an assaulting company that came out to pretty much frame out what we can do. And now we not only do we have a mission statement that we're going to stand true to, but we have a plan ready to execute. So when big businesses come, or maybe sewers in the future, that we already are ready to go, and keeping it the same quiet as much as we can, living on this busy street, but keeping it just a quaint place for people to live and grow and obviously raise their children. I'm a father of two wonderful little girls that I don't do it for the money. I do it because I'm passionate about it. I really want to see this place grow.
You mentioned your interest in technology and AI. How could those be used to help?
We actually passed an ordinance, and thank you for Matt Mishak for bringing it to our attention, that said that not many people in Lorain County are taking advantage of AI. And right now, if you don't take advantage of it, you could be left in the dust. Me being a tech nerd like I am, I looked into it with Matt, and we drew something out to where it would be a privacy policy for AI and what we can use AI for. So with technology, as soon as I came into the seat here, we moved our emails from a Gmail account to Microsoft, obviously just for the fact of security. They have a better security than Gmail, unfortunately. And then getting into the AI question, making things more simple for the village council, and then also residents. I have an idea, it's not put in place yet, but when people call in, they don't really get a whole lot of information, because they're either speaking to maybe one of the workers here, or they'll call me and have something to say about maybe a tree falling. I would love to spout off ordinances and maybe knowledge that would give them a little bit more perspective on what I'm trying to hit home with, because at the end of the day, I'm just trying to put a Band-Aid on it until we can figure it out. But I'd love to give them more concrete evidence and maybe a little bit more juice, if you would. So my idea is to bring AI to the forefront for those type of things. So when you call into South Amherst, maybe hypothetically you speak to an AI bot that is generated either by my voice or a council voice, they would be able to give you an explanation of what is happening in your real-time scenario, and then give you a better understanding of how you can operate, what the framework would be to get your project done or your complaint taken care of.
What is something people don't normally know about South Amherst that you'd want them to know?
Honestly, it's the best kept secret in Lorain County. I say that in full transparency because I've moved 17 times in my whole life. I've lived in many different places, and not because I wanted to. As just a young kid, my mom wasn't pleased with the house we lived in at the time, so we moved a lot. And I could tell you, being a guy that went to 3 separate high schools and actually growing up in Lorain and having pride in where I come from, I could tell you this village has it. They have it all. They have the pride. They have the will to want to see these things get better. Just to your point about communication, though, is you do have your bad eggs out there that really just want to push the negativity. And it's unfortunate because it's a lot of those people have served with us before. And I don't know if it's them being threatened by it, but I'm a type of guy where I'm very passionate and also positive. And I am only afraid of 2 things in this world. And one is God and the other is my wife.
Let's switch over and talk a little about you. What's your background?
I went to film school in Chicago, Columbia University. I moved home to take care of, like I said, my father and live with him. And I met my wife here in Lorain County. She's originally from South Amherst. So when I found out the first date was, come to South Amherst. So I'm like, I know about Amherst. You're telling me there's a town south of you? I had no idea. Coming here and actually seeing how cool this place was, I fell in love with it. My background, though, is in HR, human resources. And that's where all the, ideas and the constructive ways of making policy and procedure comes from. But then also the creative side comes from going to film school and then also being a musician. I've been a musician since I was 15 years old. There's a church right up here the road I've been with for over 10 years, playing and worship leading with them, playing guitar, banjo, mandolin, piano. I sing. I edit video. The crests that we actually went out to the public, I was fortunate enough to actually make all the crests, and we were able to let them vote. They put a piece out in the paper, so the residents had a voice in that matter, which was great. So not only creating something that is long lasting is really nice to me, but the fact that the residents had a big deal in it as well. So being a creative guy has always been from my background, and I think it's just, like I said, a superpower, really.
What motivated you to run for mayor?
Honestly, I sat in that chair as a councilman for 2 years, and I saw there's always that additive of I could do it better. It was never that. It was what can I do to help? I know I can maybe bring up policy and sitting in that chair as a councilman, but I also need the votes. And if I can't get the votes, what do I do then? So moving forward, I thought if I was a mayor, what could I do to help these people out? What could I do to make transparency easier and just make things more enjoyable for the people that live here? One of my biggest things was bringing more events to the community. We have a Halloween fest coming up that I am very excited for, that we did last year, brought over 250 people to the village. And that was just with a group of 4 people as volunteers. So just imagine if we had 14.
How would you describe your leadership style? What principles shape how you lead, and who or what has influenced your leadership style the most?
Leading by example, being that shining light that people can really gravitate towards. I've always been known to put the burdens on my back and let others just voice their frustrations out. And I think it just comes from my childhood and moving around a lot, my mom being a single mother for a long time. But honestly, my leadership skills, I would have to say, is just do unto others that they would do to you, and treat them with respect, because you don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what kind of story they have on the other side. So just accepting those people for who they are, getting them in your circle and really taking advantage of what they could offer you, not on a point of taking advantage, but almost as a positive, just to see what you can get out of those people. So my leadership skills here are letting the people go, giving them the rope and the leniency to do what they do. And if they need my help, I'm here.
As mayor, what are you most proud of accomplishing?
Setting out the transparency thing. The biggest thing was they felt left in the dark where there wasn't a whole lot of news. There's a demographic here, and maybe you guys already know this, but we did a study with our planning commission, and I think it was around 75 and older was pretty much the demographic here. A lot of older folks. Not saying 75 is old. I think that's still young, but I'm saying 75 years old and older. So people are set in their ways. They're not really online. They're not going on Facebook all the time. So how do you really reach the masses? I said we should start a newsletter. The newsletter was started off by a former councilman, Jerry Lee Sis, and she started that off, and it was for little help, not a lot of people chiming in to help her. And when she stepped down, it had to continue. We started doing one every quarter, which I put together, edit myself, all the imagery, everything you put together digitally wise, I do. I do have help from other council that bring in the stories, but as far as the construction of it, we put out a newsletter. We just were fortunate enough to switch from the WEN system to the Code Red system for Lorain County emergencies, which Dave Freeman was nice enough to let us know that you can actually use this for letting people know what's going on in the community as well, not only emergencies. So that's been beneficial. Also, obviously, Facebook is always the go-to. And then also the marquee we just put out here during the first year of me being a mayor. I just thought, why not? If people are driving by, it's a good way. I see it in Lorraine. I see it in other municipalities. So they seem to work. Just trying to get the word out there and letting the people know what's going on in the village and just being truthful.
Beyond just mayor, what are your future goals? What do you still want to accomplish?
I can be totally transparent with you guys here and let you know that I'm going to be a one and done mayor. The reason being is because I have 2 little girls and family comes first with me. I also, like I said, have a marketing business that is starting to blow up very well, and glory to God and thank you for that. And I'm just a blessed individual. I know that family comes first, and they always say that it moves fast, and they're not lying. Whoever said that, they were not lying. So I really take a look at my family, and I know that they need me more than the town does, but I'm not saying that I'm not going to be removed from the town. I still want to help in any way, shape, or form. It just won't be in this capacity. But as far as me as a leader and moving forward, I want to do whatever I can to help either the school district out or my community out, and anybody that can really use the help. Any demographic, I'm not opposed.
Outside of work, what are some of your hobbies and interests, and how do they help recharge you?
It's so funny you guys asked this because I didn't play my guitar for almost 2 months, and it was almost like not drinking water. I picked up my guitar and I felt amazing afterwards. And I have this new routine. I try to stay true to it, but I work out an hour and then I go and I play guitar for an hour. I wake up, I read some scripture, and then I continue with my day. And if I stick to that regimen, it's almost like, going to the gym every day and working out, just being strong with not only your faith, but your mental. And if you don't stay sharp like that, I think you're going to fall behind. And with everything that's on my back, I have to stay sharp. And it's not the point to where I stress about it. I just know I put all of my worries on a higher power.
Finally, where can people go to get more information on South Amherst and connect with you?
villageofsouthamherst.com is what you're going to do. I always direct them there is because Facebook, yes, it is good for certain things, but there's a lot of misinformation. And I would hate for somebody that doesn't know to go somewhere and get the wrong information. So I always say, stay true to the villageofsouthamherst.com. We do have a YouTube channel as well that you can go ahead and search Village of South Amherst, and you'll find our YouTube videos that we do live stream. I thought that was a need when I first became a councilman, because if there was so much disconnect with the residents here and they felt like they were out of the loop, this was a good way to bring the village council meetings to their living room. So I did that. And of course, using my technology skills, it wasn't hard, but I was happy to do it. So I would say, if not finding us on YouTube, make sure you follow us on the websites and just stay up to date on anything that comes out for South Amherst. And hopefully you'll see more of us on the positive side.
Thank you, Mayor Jones, for joining us and sharing your insights.
Thank you so much, folks. Have a good day.
Thank you for listening to the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast. Each episode, we share conversations with the people shaping life in Lorain County, from business and government to education, nonprofits, healthcare, and entertainment. Be sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. You can also visit LoraineCounty.com to discover local events, volunteer opportunities, and more community resources. If you know someone who's making a difference in Lorain County, send us a note at podcast@LoraineCounty.com. We would love to share their story and insights. Special thanks to our producer, Leah Gerke, and to you for listening. This has been the LoraineCounty.com Insights Podcast, conversations with the people shaping Lorain County.